Hey there guys, welcome to Guild Wars 2 Radio. I'm your host Niglesh, and in this episode we're checking out a whole new race in this series. Stay tuned. So welcome back to the show everyone. In this episode we're going to be looking at the midget race Asura, and I know there's going to be a few people that rage at me, and I'm sorry, but there's just something about the Asura that makes me want to punt them. I don't know what it is, and I'm sorry in advance. But last episode we looked at the Sylvari, and we touched on a few aspects. That was appearance, how they compared in other MMOs, and a bit of lore. But I thought that was a bit brief, so in this episode I'm going to beef it up, and hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to get across to you guys. And I think that structure is pretty good, so we're going to follow that for the rest of the series and the upcoming series. It's a secret though, so I'm not going to tell you just yet. But with all that being said guys, let's start with some lore. Okay, so the Asura dwelled underground for thousands of years, until the Great Destroyer, who is a minion beneath Primordius, the dragon Primordius, his minions, the Great Destroyer's minions, forced the Asura out from underground about 250 years ago. And the mind-blowing thing is that they adapted to the outside world so damn quick that they're established as one of the most powerful races in Tyria, because they're known to be so intelligent, and I'm honestly surprised their heads aren't bloody huge from how big their brains should be. But you know they're actually that smart that they've been established as being so powerful. Okay, so I want you guys to be immersed in this scenario. So you're sitting in a chair, and it's the chess championship of 2012. Now, you've owned all the noobs behind you. You're like, I haven't got a worry in the world. I've just owned all them noobs. And, you know, you're waiting in the chair, you've got sweaty hands, and this one bead of sweat just goes down the back of your back. And you're waiting in the chair, and you're waiting for the opponent. You look up, and the door opens, and this little alien, he walks through the door, and he's got this big ass head. His hands are huge. He's got these slick eyes. And you know, you're petrified, you're like, this isn't normal, what the hell is this thing? He's going to probe me and take me to his mothership. Well, you're wrong. He sits down on his chair, and he makes his first move. And you make your first move, and by the time he's made his second move, he's already beaten you. Like, that's how incredible they are. They are so smart, they'll just outdo you in like 10 seconds. Okay, on a serious note, let's talk about their lore again. So, to touch back on the lore, I think this is really important because the Asura believe in this religion, and it's called eternal alchemy. Now, the idea of this is to bring all beings and magics to a greater purpose, and that's sometimes referred as a machine. Now, I find this interesting because in the trailer and a few gameplay videos, you can see that the Asura are able to produce these machines and these elementals. Now, I'm actually really excited to see this in the game, but I found this really cool because who else in Guild Wars 2 would be able to do this? Well, it's only the Asura that can do this because how smart they are, right? So, the fact that they can, like, alter magic and put them into machines and elementals is just mind-blowing, really. So I hope that just gives a little bit more edge on how advanced they are with their technology as well. Okay, so the final thing I want to point out about the Asura is we're going to rewind a bit to when they got pushed out of the ground by the Destroyer's minions. So they pretty much found their way to the Tarnished Coast, and that's where they quickly learned how to, you know, alter magic and advance their research. And over the years, because of adapting to the Tarnished Coast, they managed to increase their network of gates across Tyria. Now these gates can be used as portals as such to travel across the continent, which I thought was pretty cool. And you can tell that the Asura are so important to the game because without the Asura and their intelligence, well, what kind of advanced technology would be in the world right now? Um, if you've seen a couple of gameplay videos, there's a dynamic event where there's this huge Asura cannon. So to bring down this dragon, and without that, well, what other help would you get from the other races? I'm not saying they're useless, but the advancement definitely helps the other races to bring down such enemies. So I thought that was really important to touch on. Okay, so let's look at appearance. Now, the first thing that struck me is that it's known for the male and female to look very similar. And as you can tell, their facial features are, pretty much the same. I mean, their eyes are vibrant and bold and slick. Their noses are both pushed down, even though they're slightly different shaped, and the mouths are both slick and pretty broad. And their heads, the hands, and the feet are like out of proportion with their body. So they kind of look out of place, but I guess their head makes up for their big brain, I suppose. And the feet only have 3 toes, which is kind of odd. But yeah, as I was saying, they're definitely out of proportion with the slim and slender kind of body. But there's also one more thing which I found out upon researching, is that they live 5 to 10% longer than a human. And I guess you could assume that because they're so technically advanced and they're just known to be intelligent. So it's kind of assumed, but I just thought it was a cool trait that the Asura have. I guess another thing to point out is they're known to have shark-like teeth, which I found odd. Because imagine going into PvP and one of them biting you on the ass. It would not be a pleasant experience, to say the least. I just thought that was really odd because I can't imagine seeing them with shark teeth. But, they're so small and cute, but if you see... Okay, I'm going to say this, he's going to hate me for saying this. There's a person called Squirrelbanes, so when Guild Wars 2 comes out, I want you to try and find him and try and punt him, because he'll try and make like one of them really cute Asuras. So definitely note that down to punt Squirrelbanes in game. But yeah, they're so out of proportion that their bodies just look odd, But I guess you could probably, in customization, make a female look like a male and, vice versa. So I don't really know what the point behind that is, because I haven't really found out why they're so similar. But that's not to say that you can't make a male look really male. No, I can't really explain it. You can make a male definitely look more masculine, but at the same time you can make them look pretty similar. There's not much more to say. I mean, I guess what's really unique about their appearance is the teeth, but at the same time I guess you're not really seeing their teeth that much. But it's definitely a cool trait that they have a really different type of teeth. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Their armor sets. Now, I believe there's racial armor sets, and I think theirs would definitely be one of the coolest, because theirs would be like really flashing lights, and they might have a lot of gears and really advanced kind of armor, which would definitely look really cool. So I think that one of them, that trait, the armor types, would probably want to be one of the most unique kind of factors about the Asura. Hopefully I've covered enough on that. If I haven't, then maybe in future videos I might catch up on their appearance. Drop a comment if you think I haven't covered enough. And we'll move on to how different they are in different MMOs, what similarities have they got with different races. We'll brush up on that. Okay, so let's compare them to other races in different MMOs. And I think the most obvious kind of one would probably be the gnome, and that's just because of how short they are and how slender they are. But in a sense, you could probably compare them to dwarves, and I've played MMOs where dwarves have had big hands or big feet, and their bodies have been pretty slim. So what I'm trying to get at is that they're proportioned, so I guess a little bit similar to different gnomes and different dwarves. But gnomes are known to be quite the tinkerous and mischievous races. So I guess the Asura are quite similar there. And I guess they're both puntable. But that's just some of the similar races. And it's hard to find a race in a different MMO where they're so similar you can make a direct comparison, because the ArenaNet have done such a good job to make each race in Guild Wars 2 so unique. They are hard to define against another race. But I guess maybe we'll see new MMOs popping up where the certain races from Guild Wars 2, they've been inspired to make a little bit of a tweak of their own. Well, everyone, that concludes this episode. I hope you guys found this one more in depth, and feel free to write a comment about my terrible jokes. Thumbs it up and stay subscribed for the rest of the series. We have another series coming up after this one. So I want to thank you guys so much for listening, and this is Niglesh from Guild Wars 2 Radio signing off.